It's the grandson of Right Thought. So now that throughout my videos, if you've been following them, you know who the nation of Israel is, specifically the tribe of Judah, the so-called Negroes, so-called African Americans, the tribe of Judah, the bronze-skinned, woolly-headed people, the Negroes. This is a book, the Testament of Judah. This is literally your forefathers' words to you, the so-called Negroes of today, his sons. This was stripped away from the original Bible. Many books were stripped away. So you have to do diligent search. The Spirit will guide you. The Spirit will lead you. But this is a specific message from Judah to his children. So to the Negro man and woman, this is to you from your forefathers. So let's read. The copy of the words of Judah, what things he spake to his sons before he died. They gathered themselves together, therefore, and came to him, and he said to them, Hearken, my children, to Judah your father. I was the fourth son born to my father Jacob, and Leah my mother named me Judah, saying, I give thanks to the Lord. So she named him Yahudah, which means Yah's praise. That's why he's saying, I give thanks to the Lord. So she was giving thanks to the Most High for Yahudah. So she named him Yahudah. His name literally means Yah's praise, praising Yah. Because he hath given me a fourth son also. I was swift in my youth. Now, who are the fastest people on the earth? Listen to what he says. I was swift in my youth and obedient to my father in everything. And I honored my mother and my mother's sister. And it came, which is Rachel, see? And it came to pass when I became a man that my father blessed me, saying, Thou shalt be a king, prospering in all things. Y'all see that? The Negro. And the Lord showed me favor in all my works, both in the field and in the house. See? He was blessed. I know that I raced a hind. A hind is a deer. I know that I raced a hind and caught it and prepared the meat for my father, and he did eat. So he chased after a deer. If y'all know, a deer is very light of foot, very fast. He chased the deer and he caught it. Okay? And the roes I used to master in the chase, faster than deer, and overtake all that was in the plains. All the animals that was out there running, he was faster than all of them. I already asked you, who are the fastest people on the earth? Okay, see how he's talking to you? A wild mare I overtook. That's a horse, a wild horse, guys. I caught it and tamed it. You see that? I slew a lion and plucked a kid out of its mouth. You see that? Just like David, just like Samson. I took a bear by its paw and hurled it down the cliff, and it was crushed. He body slammed a bear down the cliff, y'all. I outran the wild boar, and seizing it as I ran, I tore it in sunder, ripped the thing in half. A leopard in Hebron leaped upon my dog, and I caught it by the tail and hurled it on the rocks, and it was broken in twain. Now, you see, there's been a lot of talk about the changes that's going on in our DNA, the changes that's going on the earth right now, to the so-called Negroes on the earth, because the energies are changing. Your DNA is activating and you're changing, and everybody's making jokes about us getting superpowers. Do you hear what this man is saying here to his children? He's saying, I was outrunning animals. I was body slamming bears, killing lions with my bare hands. A leopard, I swung that thing around by its tail like you see in a cartoon. Do you see? So-called blacks, so-called African Americans, do you see? I found a wild ox, verse 15, feeding in the fields and seizing it by the horns and whirling it round and stunning it. I cast it from me and slew it. A big ass ox, he took it by the horns and swung it around till it was dizzy and threw the damn thing and killed it. Okay? And when the two kings of the Canaanites, enemies of Israel, arch enemies of Israel, came sheathed or with armor and swords and armor against our flocks and much people with them, single-handed I rushed upon the king of Hazor and smote him on the greaves and dragged him down, and so I slew him single-handedly. You see what I mean about your DNA activating and you changing? You see why they took this out of the script so you wouldn't read this and be like, wait, what? That's the genes that's in my body? Yes. You see? 17. And the other, the king of Tapua, as he sat upon his horse, I slew, and so I scattered all his people. Achor, the king, a man of great stature, I found, hurling javelins before and behind as he sat on horseback. And I took up a stone of 60 pounds weight. Y'all, you ever tried to pick up a stone that weighs 60 pounds? He picked it up and hurled it. He threw it and smote the horse and killed it. Judah picked up a big ass stone that weighed 60 pounds, threw the thing at the horse and killed the horse with it. And I fought with this other for 2 hours. And I clave his shield in twain, and I chopped off his feet and killed him. And as I was stripping off his breastplate, behold, 9 men, his companions, began to fight with me. Now Judah has killed 1 man, now he's going to fight 9 men at once. And I wound my garment on my hand, and I slung stones at them, and killed 4 of them, and the rest fled. And Jacob, my father, slew Beelzaph, king of all the kings, a giant in stature, 12 cubits high. Jacob killed this man, 12 cubits high, taller than Goliath. And fear fell upon them, and they ceased warring against us. Yeah, I guess if you killed their biggest king of all kings. You see? This is the stock you come from. Therefore my father was free from anxiety in the wars when I was with my brethren. For he saw in a vision concerning me that an angel of might, you know who that is? Who's the angel of might? Okay, followed me everywhere, that I should not be overcome. And in the south there came upon us a greater war than that in Shechem, and I joined in battle array with my brethren, and pursued 1,000 men, and slew of them 200 men and 4 kings. Did y'all hear that? Judah says he joined in battle with his brothers. It's 12 of them, right? Well, not really 12 of them yet. Because Benjamin ain't around yet. Joseph been, sent off to Egypt. So him and his 10 brothers. And pursued 1,000 men, just like the scripture said. Do you see where you come from? Do you see what's in you? Do you see why you are strong? Do you see why the Most High said 2 nations will be in your room, Rebecca? One will be stronger than the other. This is Jacob's line. Who's the stronger? Okay. Who are the fastest people, the strongest people on the earth? Even in your lowest state. So what happens when you are lifted to your highest state? Yahushua said, greater things than what he did, you shall do. And we're reading, see? Just a snippet of what things are going to come for you. You see? So there came a war, and they chased all these men. Now look, and I went up upon the wall, verse 27, and I slew 4 mighty men. And so we captured Hazor and took all the spoil. And the next day we departed for Eratan, a city strong and walled and inaccessible, threatening us with death. But I and Gad approached on the east side of the city, and Reuben and Levi on the west. Just him and his brothers. Listen, y'all. And they that were upon the wall, thinking that we were alone, were drawn down against us. And so my brethren secretly climbed up on the wall from both sides by stakes, and entered the city while the men knew it not. And we took it with the edge of the sword. There were conquerors, And as for those who had taken refuge in the tower, we set fire to the tower and took both it and them. You see this? And as we were departing, the men of Tapua seized our spoil. And seeing this, we fought with them. So somebody tried to steal their shit, so they started fighting with them. And we slew them all and recovered our spoil. Conquerors! The conquering lion of what tribe? Who is this talking? 37. And when I was at the waters of Kozeba, the men of Jobel came against us to battle. And we fought with them and routed them, and their allies from Shiloh we slew. And we did not leave them power to come in against us. And the men of Machir came upon us the 5th day to seize our spoil, and we attacked them and overcame them in fierce battle. For there was a host of mighty men against them, and we slew them before they had gone up to the ascent. And when we came to their city, their women rode upon us stones from the brow of the hill on which the city stood. So when they came upon another city, the women were rolling big ass stones down the hill to crush them, right? And I and Simeon had ourselves between the town and seized upon the heights and destroyed this city also. And the next day, just the next day, it was told us that the king of the city of Gaash with a mighty host was coming against us. So another king was coming the next day. I, therefore, and Dan feigned ourselves to be Amorites. They faked like they were a whole other nation of people. And as allies went into their city. And in the depth of night, our brethren came, and we opened to them the gates. And we destroyed all the men and all their substance. And we took for a prey all that was theirs. And their 3 walls we cast down. You see why the whole world hates you? You're a conqueror. Negroes, so-called African Americans, you so-called blacks. This is your forefather speaking to you. Judah, this is your tribe. This is why you are the way that you are. This is where you get your strength from. Let's keep going. 45. And we drew near to Thamna, where was all the substance of the hostile kings. Then, being insulted by them, I was therefore wroth. He said he got insulted by the kings. He was pissed off, and I rushed against them to the summit. And they kept slinging against me stones and darts. And had not Dan, my brother, aided me, they would have slain me. Judah almost got killed in that battle. We came upon them, therefore, with wrath, and they all fled. And passing by another way, they fought my father, Jacob, and he made peace with them. And we did to them no hurt, and they became tributary to us, started paying them taxes, and we restored to them their spoil. So they paid them taxes. Do you see why the world is doing what they're doing to you now? Trying to do to you what you have been doing on the earth under divine guidance, under the hand of the Most High, under righteousness. So unrighteousness fought against you, Negro. You see? Now here we go. Let's keep going. And I built Thamna, and my father built Pabael. I was 20 years old. He'd been fighting wars and wars and wars. He's just 20 years old, guys. When this war befell, and the Canaanites feared me and my brethren. See, the Canaanites, I told you. Y'all see how this has been going on since the beginning of time? The fake Jews today, the Canaanites, you see? You see? The same one that tricked Esau, Canaanites, you see? And I had much cattle, and I had for chief herdsman Aram the Adulamite. And when I went to him, I saw Persaba, king of Adulam, and he spake unto us, and he made us a feast. And when I was heated, he gave me his daughter Bathshua to wife. Okay? Now that's very interesting. He says he went, after they made peace after the war, he went and met this king, Persaba, the king of Adulam. And when he was heated, see, he was at the feast. He had been drinking wine, feeling good. And he got turned on. As we say, he got turned on, turned up. He laid with Bathshua, the daughter of Persaba. Okay? Now let's go to Genesis and see about this and confirm with scriptures. You see, that's how we do it. Genesis chapter 38. All right. And it came to pass at that time that Judah, see the one we're reading from, went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite. See how the scriptures bear witness? Whose name was Hirah. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite. We just know Persaba is the Canaanite. Uh-oh, he's a Canaanite. Judah then fucked up. Whose name was Bathshua. See, Shua. Both means daughter, so Shua, and he took her and went in unto her. See how the scriptures bear witness to what Judah has just told you? And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. So Judah has two sons, and Onan, with a Canaanite woman by the name of Bathshua. See how the scriptures bear witness to this? And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And she was at Chezib when she bare him. So now he's got three sons with the Canaanite woman. Okay? And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Most High. Why was he wicked? Because his mother was a Canaanite. He was tainted blood. For all of you who don't think the Most High deals with bloodlines, yes, he does. You see? They were wicked, and the Lord slew him. The Lord killed You see that? I told you the Most High don't play. We already been dealing with his judgment since the beginning, so we know how he gets down. He said, don't marry no Canaanite. Well, Judah did, and he had a child, and Abba killed that child. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. Remember when we read Ruth, and we were reading about the work of a kinsman. A kinsman has to lay with his brothers, or the next kinsman to a man, if he dies, has to lay with his wife and raise up seed to her. So he says, go to your brother's wife and lay with her now and become her husband so you can raise up seed, see, to thy brother. And Onan knew that that seed should not be his. He said, well, that's really going to be the other guy's son if I do that. And it came to pass when he went into his brother's wife, so he still laid with her, that he spilled it on the ground. He pulled out, in other words. When he was fucking her, when it came time for him to bust a nut, he pulled out and busted it on the ground. Lest that he should give seed to his brother, so that he wouldn't get her pregnant. You see? And that thing which he did displeased the Lord. When he did that, that was not pleasing to the Most High. You see? Wherefore he slew him also. Most High killed the other boy. Most High is getting rid of the wicked seed is what he's doing. That's really what he's doing. Because Judah has tainted his bloodline with Canaanite seed, so Abba's killing them off. You see? All right. So we'll come back to this. All right. So that was to get some context on what we're reading right here from the book of Judah. See? And she bare me you see? Bathshua. Onan, Shelah. And the two of them the Lord smote. That's what we just read. See how it all bears witness together as truth? For Shelah lived, and his children are ye. You see? He says, so Shelah lived, and his children are ye. All right? But the Most High used Judah to raise up seed through Tamar. You see? And 18 years my father abode in peace with his brother Esau. So now we're talking about his uncle, Esau. We all know who Esau is. And his sons with us. After that, we came from Mesopotamia, from Laban, you see. And when 18 years were fulfilled, in the 40th year of my life, Esau, the brother of my father, came upon us with a mighty and strong people. Did y'all know that? So Esau came to make war. He said he was going to kill Jacob. And Jacob smote Esau with an arrow. If y'all are wondering about what happened with them two. And he was taken up wounded on Mount Seir. And as he went, he died at Ananarum. And we pursued after the sons of Esau. Now they had a city with walls of iron and gates of brass. And we could not enter into it. And we encamped around and besieged it. You see this? This is what happened to Esau. He ran, they beat Esau's ass and his sons, and they ran into their city, and then they besieged it. What happened to Jerusalem in 70 AD? Esau did the same thing to Jerusalem, to the Jews. In 70 AD, they besieged Jerusalem. You see that? And when they opened not to us in 20 days, I set up a ladder in the sight of all, and with my shield upon my head, I went up, sustaining the assault of stones upwards of 3 talents weight. These stones were hundreds of pounds, guys. And I slew 4 of their mighty men, and Reuben and Gad slew 6 others. Then they asked from us terms of peace, and having taken counsel with our father, we received them as tributaries, made them pay taxes. So do you see why Esau has done what he's done to the Negro? Y'all just never read this history that you're reading right now. So you didn't know why. Because Judah's the Negroes. That's why this has happened to the Negro. As retaliation for this, which you're reading here. You see? Then he talks about what we read in Genesis about the children, okay? His children getting killed. Alrighty then. Now I'll go to 17. Now watch this. And I knew that the race, see, the Most High deals with races and bloodlines for all of you who in your feelings about this shit. Let's keep reading. And I knew that the race of the Canaanites was wicked. Is there a wicked bloodline? Is there a wicked race of people on the earth? Yes. But the impulse of youth blinded my mind. You see that? Let's go back one verse. And I wished to give Salah also to her, but his mother did not permit it, for she wrought evil against Tamar. See, Tamar was a Negro, was a Jew. His mother was a Canaanite. You see, Bathsheba was a Canaanite. So she didn't want Salah to marry Tamar because she wasn't a Canaanite. Watch. Because she was not the daughters of Canaan, as she also was herself. See? She didn't want her son to be with a Negro woman. She says, no, you're going to be with my kind, a Canaanite. And then he says, I knew that race of Canaanites was wicked. So the very first of us, Yahudah, of our tribe, Yahudah, the very first, our forefather, made the same mistake, did the same thing. He's telling you, I was blinded by my youth. And when I saw her pouring out wine, remember he was at the party, watch. Owing to the intoxication of wine, see, he was drunk, I was deceived. He had drunk too much wine. And took her, although my father had not counseled it. You see? And while I was away, she went and took for Salah a wife from Canaan. See, she did it anyway. And when I knew what she had done, I cursed her in the anguish of my soul. Watch this. He cursed her. And she also died through her wickedness together with her sons. You see? He's killing off that bloodline. Abba Yah never wanted it, so he's killing it off. And after these things, while Tamar was a widow, she heard after 2 years that I was going up. And this is when he's going to be tricked by Tamar and lay with her. See? He was feeling good. See, watch. Therefore, being drunk with wine, I did not recognize her. See, it was Tamar. And her beauty deceived me through the fashion of her adorning. And I turned aside to her, and I said, let me go in unto thee. In other words, let me sleep with you, girl. You look good. Let me have sex with you. He was drunk again. Okay? And I went in unto her, and she conceived. And not knowing what I had done, he was drunk, I wished to slay her. When he realized what she had done to him, he wished to kill her. But she had sent my pledges. See, she took pledges off of him. His word and things. And his signet, his ring, and things like that. When you read it all, you'll get a chance. But right now, I just want to skim through it so you guys get the idea of what Judah, your forefather, is going to be telling you about how to live your life. All right? Let's see. Now watch this. He says, and now I command you. This is a command. My children. So Judah, the father of the Negroes, is commanding you. Okay? Your tribe. He's commanding you now. Listen to what he says. Hearken to Yahudah your father. Listen to me, he says. And keep my sayings to perform all the ordinance of the Lord and to obey the commands of God. See what he says? And walk not after your lusts, nor in the imaginations of your thoughts and haughtiness of heart, and glory not in the deeds and strength of your youth, for this also is evil in the eyes of the Lord. Since I also glory that in wars no comely woman's face ever enticed me, and reproved Reuben my brother, Concerning Bilhah, the wife of my father, the spirits of jealousy and of fornication arrayed themselves against me. He says, because when I was at war, I didn't worry about no woman. I was focused, man. I even checked my brother Reuben when he went astray. He was like, and when that happened, the spirits of jealousy and of fornication arrayed themselves against me. I told you we are in spiritual war. They saw that good in Judah and they said, no, we want to destroy that. You see, jealousy and fornication. Until I lay with Bathshua the Canaanite, see, and Tamar, who was espoused to my sons. That's who, remember, she was supposed to be with Salah, his son. You see? For I said to my father-in-law, I will take counsel with my father, and so will I take thy daughter. He said, I'm going to go talk to, he said, I told my father-in-law that I was going to talk to my father before I took her. And he was unwilling, but he showed me a boundless store of gold in his daughter's behalf. He said, man, don't go talk to your daddy, man. I got a whole bunch of money. Look at this Canaanite, just like a fake Jew. For he was a king, see? For he was a king, and he adorned her with gold and pearls, and caused her to pour out wine for us at the feast with the beauty of women. You see? The beauty of women. He said he had her looking all good, all decked out with gold and pearls and jewels and shit. And the wine turned aside my eyes. He was drinking that wine, too much wine. And pleasure blinded my heart. And I became enamored of, and I lay with her, and transgressed the commandment of the Lord, and the commandment of my fathers, and I took her to wife. The commandment of the Lord was, do not take a Canaanite. Do not mix your blood with them. You see? Don't take your bloodline. But he did. And the Lord rewarded me according to the imagination of my heart, insomuch as I had no joy in her children. That's right, they all died, except for one. And now, my children, I say unto you, be not drunk with wine. So he's talking to the Negroes. So stop drinking all that shit and getting drunk as fuck. There's nothing wrong with moderation, having some wine to help you to feel good, but drinking all that crazy ass liquor, getting fucked up, staggering around, can't think and shit. He says, don't do that. For wine turneth the mind away from the truth. You see? And inspires the passions of lust, don't it? And leadeth the eyes in error, don't it? When you drunk as hell can't think straight? For the spirit of fornication hath wine as a minister to give pleasure to the mind. He said that's basically a doorway. Wine is a doorway to fornication. Spirit of fornication uses drink. Ain't that what niggas do when they try to get something from a female? First thing they want to do is get her fucked up. That's the first thing they do is crack a bottle. Right? That shit is wicked, the Most High says. For these two also take away the mind of man. You see, this shit takes away your mind, fornication and being fucked up drunk, nigga. For if a man drink wine to drunkenness, that's the point. You can drink wine. Don't drink it till you drunk. It disturbeth the mind with filthy thoughts, leading to fornication, don't it? A lot of people have been molested by a man that had alcohol on his fucking breath. And heateth the body to carnal unions. See, like being with a fucking Canaanite. And if the occasion of the lust be present while you drunk, he worketh the sin and is not ashamed. Such is the inebriated man, the drunkard. My children, the Negroes, for he who is drunken reverenceth no man. You see? Don't give respect to nobody when you fucked up and drunk like that. For lo, it made me also to err. As strong as he was, as fast as he was, as mighty as he was in battle, it still brought him low. So that I was not ashamed of the multitude in the city, and that before the eyes of all I turned aside unto Tamar, and I wrought a great sin, and I uncovered the covering of my son's shame. After I had drunk wine, I reverenced not the commandment of God, and I took a woman of Canaan to wife. You see? For much discretion needeth the man who drinketh wine. So if you're going to drink wine, you got to be a man of much discretion, my children. And herein is discretion in drinking wine. A man may drink so long as he preserveth modesty. See? You can drink as long as you're still going to preserve your modesty and not get out of hand. You see? But if he go beyond this limit, the spirit of deceit attacketh his mind, and it maketh the drunkard to talk filthily, don't it? and to transgress, and not to be ashamed, but even to glory in his shame, and to account himself honorable. Don't it, y'all? He that committeth fornication is not aware when he suffers loss, and is not ashamed when he is put to dishonor. For even though a man be a king and commit fornication, he is stripped of his kingship by becoming the slave of fornication, as I myself also suffered. You see? Observe therefore, my children, the right limit in wine, for there are in it four evil spirits, of lust, of hot desire, of profligacy, there we go, profligacy, and of filthy lucre. If you drink wine in gladness, be ye modest in the fear of God. And he goes on, but my time is getting short. It's already been a half an hour. So when you guys get a chance, y'all can look that up and read that for yourself. But this is your forefather speaking to you. You see that? He's going to give you all the warnings. My children, the love of money leadeth to idolatry. So you dope boys in the hood and shit, man, come out of that shit. That money is going to lead your ass to death. Chasing after that dollar is going to get you killed. Because when led astray through money, men name as gods those who are not gods, and it causeth him who hath it to fall into madness. For the sake of money I lost my children, and had not my repentance and my humiliation and the prayers of my father been accepted, I should have died childless. So we wouldn't even have been here. But the God of my fathers had mercy on me, because I did it in ignorance. You see? So it's time to rise up, Israel. No more ignorance for us. Shalom.